This episode of PDX Spotlight is brought to you in association with Portland Radio Project.
We're Splintered Throne, and you're watching PDX Spotlight. Yeah!
Welcome to PDX Spotlight. I'm your host, Luke Neal, and today we are with Splintered Throne. Guys, thanks for being on the show.
Thanks for having us.
So let's talk about the formation of the band and the story around that.
I'll speak to that because Brian and I, the other Brian, started the band coming out of some probably dark times, I'd say, of our life. And it was started as a death metal project, but on the side, we were also doing a pop music project.
I thought I was joining a soft rock band. I don't know what happened.
That's right. It was different, and I don't think we really had a structure, knew what we were doing, but we knew we just had to get our energy and emotions out, which a lot of musicians do, and we decided to roll with it. And then there was some lineup changes, and really the lineup that you see here, the lineup that has really made an impact in the music scene, has been around since about 2012. So this really is Splintered Throne. This is what people, when they hear Splintered Throne, they know this sound, and that came of an explosion of personalities and conflicts with mutual members. And when I reached out to Brian and said, dude, I want to keep going, we did. And I had met Jason, and I knew Chris from his other project and Jason's other project, and we all happened to be looking for something at the same time, and it started to come together. And then we were fortunate to pick up Fred about a year and a half later to round out the sound. And the cool thing about it is, with all of the different influences that we have, everything from progressive to classic metal to jazz and blues to thrash, and a little bit of everything with myself, vocally, classically trained in pop music, it has kind of created the sound that we have.
Yeah, your sound is super rad. Metal, for people who don't know the metal genre, there's so many sub-genres in it. I picked up immediately on the prog rock influence. I'm a big fan of prog rock, so I thought that was super rad. But the songwriting and the vocals lean towards like the Maiden and Priest era. Who are like some of the common thread influences in the band?
Well,
You
definitely
just kind of
Judas
named
Priest.
them right there.
Yeah, we did name them, absolutely.
If we go on a road trip, it's like, what are we going to listen to that everybody can be happy with? So Rush, Megadeth, Judas Priest. We all actually can handle the Yacht Rock channel when it's on Sirius XM. So there's all that 70s music. And so it's that hodgepodge of everything, not just one specific genre that builds into everything.
So when you're bringing songs in together for the band, who's the catalyst for that, and how does the production process because there's a lot of composition in metal, you have to organize these songs, so talk us through that process.
You know, these guys all bring in ideas. I mean, this is one of the unique projects where you've got everybody that's bringing in riffs. I mean, even as a vocalist, I actually bring the riffs in before I bring in any actual lyrics, and most of the time it's the other way around. But these guys all bring stuff in. I'd say Jason and Fred really bring in a lot of hooks, and then we toss it to these guys, the core. They bring in the core of it. They work around the rhythms and bringing in the bottom end, and then I listen to it, and as I hear it, I'm like, okay, well, let's do it 3 times here, and let's transition here, and let's do something here. And they come up with stuff, and sometimes I come up with stuff. All 5 contribute, and that's rare. I mean, most of the time there's 1 to 2. But we really have something to where everyone's pulling something in to the band, and then I write the lyrics when I have the song structure done. I have to have an idea of what I'm writing about, but sometimes they bring up the lyrics. I mean,
well, usually it's a simple transition. You know, he'll write a riff. I'll put some kind of drum line, and he'll be like, "Oh, that sounds cool. Why don't you try this?"
Yep.
You know, and then now we went this direction, and that's a lot of our songs went that way.
And the nice thing about this band is that nobody's like, it's my song, it has to go like this, you know. We're all flexible enough to say, oh, I like that, well, let's try this, and yeah, I'm okay to try that. Man, we should go back the other way. There's very democratic and good writing process where
And
nobody's...
there's a lot of songs we just said, no,
Yeah.
ain't gonna happen.
this ain't working.
There's a lot of communication between all band members. We communicate regularly when we're writing, and you know, if something's not fitting, we throw it out and we keep going. I think the songs that are the strongest are the ones that we write together, and I think that's because we bring all of our flavor to it.
Was there a theme to the new record? Was it something, a message you wanted to get it across, or at the end you just loved the collection of songs?
Well, it started with, I had this idea for the red album, because there's a white album and a black album. And so we had this red idea kind of floating around. And then we actually, before the album had been recorded, we were approached by 2 or 3 different record companies to sign. Yeah. And we looked at contracts and we're like, nah, don't like this, don't like that, don't like the other, red line, red line, red line. And so when it came time to actually really finalize what the album was going to call, we were like, how about red line? Yeah. Because we redlined so much stuff from we could have been signed. But we were like, no, this doesn't work for us. We could do all this on our own. You aren't doing anything for us. This is a bunch of BS.
It coincided with the album being done.
Yeah.
It was right there, and we had this contract, and we have a legal team, and we went through it with them, and like Jason said, it's like no, red line. Yeah. This is perfect. And plus, as you see, there's a tachometer on there, and it's hitting on the red line, which is I think close to number 8 or 9.
That's awesome.
It's red line, meaning it's driven, but it's also kind of a, here's the state of the music industry, and we don't care about that. We're done with it. We're redlining that. We're just going to do it on our own, and we'll have more success that way.
Let's talk about the lyrics, specifically the lyrics for Splintered Throne. Did you know it was going to be the project name, or is it something that was spurred out of that?
So Splintered Throne, when we decided on the band name, and that was a long time ago, before Fred and Jason and Chris were in the band, we were doing death metal. And we looked at some old, 18th century poetry, and it referred to the devil's chair, Splintered Throne. Now, we're not into the devil or satanic stuff whatsoever. That's kind of an old 80s cliche, right? But sure. It was something to where it was unique, and it kind of called to it. So when the band exploded in 11 and we reformed with Jason had this killer riff, and I'm like, yeah, you know what we should do? We should do a song about the band name. And so I hallmarked back to, the whole biblical end of days, and that's what all of that's about. And, God reclaims his children, they go up to heaven, and then there's the whatever 1,000 years of reign by the devil and all of that stuff. And I thought, well, that'd be kind of cool. So you bow down before the splintered throne or face the hell below. That's the lyrics. And it was just a way of saying, we're back, we're heavier than ever, and we are going to just crush it. And, when we put it all together, and even with Fred coming in after the song was wrote, we did that solo section, and Fred put his unbelievably fast riffage on the solo part. I mean, it's just a song that everyone still digs, even though it's probably the darkest and heaviest song that we have. But it's a killer tune.
Yeah, it's a great track.
I'm a metal guy, and I spent the prior 3 years in kind of a power punk pop kind of thing, and so all of a sudden now I'm in the band I've always wanted to be in. I'm like, I'm gonna write this song, and that song just came out like that, and then he just threw the lyrics down. It was almost, I think you had the song for a week. Yeah, hey, check out this riff, and all of a sudden he's like, check out these lyrics. I'm like, that's the way to go.
Timing is everything.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Thousands of years I have wasted away in a land of time nowhere. Waiting for the level we are. We are nothing to rebel. All around me are my enemies. They're waiting for the sign. Holy it might seem to you, but it was written in my time.
before we started filming, you said that this whole thing was done by you. So hats off, man. It is an extremely clean recording. Walk us through your approach to capturing the sound on this record.
The sound on that is a microphone in front of the cabinet they use live, and they're playing it.
In a closet.
In a closet, and it's an acoustically sound closet, because hey, I'm not that cheap. But you know what? It's the real playing.
Yeah.
And if I had the ability to afford a tape track machine that's on, the old analog system, I would. But I recorded at 24/48, and I put the mic in front of the guitar amp, and they run their cabs, and all I do is make sure the levels and the mix is right, and it should sound like it sounds live, and it does, and that is the difference.
We're actually keeping it pretty simple and pretty low speed. I think it comes across because one thing that's unique about us is when you hear our stuff, you know it's us. There's no doubt in your mind that it's us. And for a band to have its unique sound and not sound like every other band that plays that kind of music is pretty neat and pretty special. So
it's the renaissance of recording. Like, everyone has access to the same paints and paintbrushes now. It's why you can do this, where 30 years ago, it'd be a $3 million record that you put out. It's insane.
And this record was tough because I had moved to Seattle, and in adjusting to that move and trying to get the recording done and coming up to my place to do it, it took a long time to do. And we even wrote
19-20 month process.
It was. It was a really long process, but I think it shows the dedication that every single person had here.
It's a full LP too, which is so rare these days. I think that's fantastic. And
there's one song on there that's total studio.
Yeah, we wrote it as on the fly, like they used to do back in the day.
It's
studio,
we've
you're
never
right.
played it live, and
Someday.
maybe someday we'll whip that thing out. And
Yeah, it's important to note though that the music was recorded over a couple of weekends. Really, we go up to his place and we stay there. It's 24/7 for that weekend, and then a couple of times after. But it's pretty much dialed in. It's good to go.
It also takes good songs. I always talk to our executive producer, Mike Berling, about it really doesn't matter the genre. Like, songs is what makes it. You guys are great songwriters. The latest record, Redline, you can go start to finish, and I want to geek out with you on the production side of it, but it's well written, it moves really well, there's some standout songs, but your approach is, it's listenable. I think it's accessible for folks, but as a guitarist, I'm sitting there going, oh, this is wonderful. It scratches all those metal. Yeah.
These guys.
Let's talk about Something Fierce and how that translates from record to live.
Sure. Well, Fred, you were the one who brought the riff, and you start this one.
Yeah, translating that song live, I mean, we obviously like to play what we recorded to make it sound like, we can do our stuff live. But then we also expand on it, and we have the ability to improvise and take it to a new direction. And those moments are pretty cool because you never know what's going to happen. As an example, when we were at Billy Blues on Friday night, we extended that solo section out. It's totally unrehearsed. Just jumped out into the crowd and started playing with people, and they were digging it. So just kind of wherever that went, that's where we went. And the band just brought it back together. I followed that guy when he did his role.
Yeah,
and,
we just pay attention to each other, Me and JMO here, we just kind of keep an eye on each other. We can kind of hear where that level is going to be, and then we can hear where his solo is about to go, and then we can ramp into the next part.
Yeah, we've played with each other long enough to know what's going to happen.
That's tough to do. I mean, jazz, they're known for improv. I mean,
that's what they do.
Yeah, but in metal, again, for wanting to be so technically proficient, like, that's pretty risky. Hats off to you. That's awesome.
It's fun to do that though, because the crowd is how he plays the solo. I mean, we play it in here and we kind of goof around with it, but it's when Fred gets in front of that crowd and he usually jumps down and he'll get in the front of people, and it's that energy, that back and forth, and like you were talking about, we want to put on the best show possible. We want to be the best band in town and beyond.
The other thing I love about the metal genre is that it's like the most indulgent artwork, poster artwork. Like, I see you're collecting these. Like, no one does artwork like metal. Let's give a shout out to whoever designed the cover of the album.
Jason Rains. Jason Rains.
Yeah.
He does a phenomenal job with all of the artwork.
Yeah, that's really rad. It's good branding, and I think it matches the sound. But you guys really do have your own thing. I mean, there's elements of a lot of great bands that you have. technically proficient. You write great melodies. Your vocals are fantastic. You just really put a great product out.
Thank you.
Tell the fans how they can find you. Where can we get your content online, and talk to us about social media.
SplintedThrone.com.
Then there's that thing called Facebook. So we have that. We're on Instagram.
Spotify, is there a Spotify?
Yeah,
there?
we have Spotify. So, and we're all over social media. So come find us. We like the likes, and they actually do a lot of stuff for us. We're on YouTube. Subscribe to our channel.
Well, we appreciate you guys being on the show. Can't thank you enough for your time.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thanks very much.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, Splintered Throne.
Woo!